Did you see the response to your tweet? You wrote a really good tweet about our podcast. I said, finally figured out how to learn how to write a tweet.
I was laughing because it was like 3 a.m. San Diego time,
Yeah,
and you were the
very
first
early.
person to respond to my tweet. It was like, great tweet. I was like, look at my little cheerleader from California.
It was nice. It was finally good. Finally good.
It had an emoji.
And it was like perfectly placed emoji, though.
I don't think anyone that reads my tweets like wonders if I'm all there anyway. Like, I think everyone kind of is like, yeah, something's off. Scoop City brought to you by Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. Hi, everybody. I'm Dianna Russini, the Athletic Senior NFL Insider.
And I'm Chase Daniel. Been in the league for 14 years. Retired, but I love it. Let's go.
Who knew that 21 episodes in that kickers are crushing it? Who knew we'd start a show like that? Because they are. Did you know that kickers are making 90% of their kicks 50 yards or longer right now? Think about that. When do we ever praise the kickers?
I put something out on Twitter. I was like, when did the 50-yard field goal become so automatic? But you know who's not crushing it right now? Justin Tucker. He's 2 for 7 for his last 50-yard attempts.
Well, yeah, I know. It's Mr. Automatic. But here's how we know this goes. The weather changes. Once it starts getting colder, all that's going to go down. But for now, let's love them. Let's give them their praise. And let's give some praise to the quarterbacks right now who appear to have some sort of glow up, right? Doesn't it seem like Derek Carr, Sam Darnold, these guys, they were kind of dead in the water last year. And now they're part of these programs, these teams that have built them back up, and they're coming out of the gate 2-0. I can't wait to ask you what you're seeing from them in terms of that improvement and why Derek Carr looks as good as he does with the New Orleans Saints. Thank you for that answer. I want to know what kind of coaching. So we're going to get to that. We have a lot of question marks about the quarterbacks this weekend. Jordan Love, will he be in? Will he be out? Justin Herbert kind of came out of nowhere in terms of an ankle injury. So we're going to have our Chargers reporter, Daniel Popper, join the show to not just give us his observations about what he's seen at practice, but also just what has it been like with the Chargers? They come out hot. Jim Harbaugh has taken over all of this. Yeah. And you know he's got stories, right? Popper's been there every day. He's got intel for us.
Got some juice.
You know, and speaking of juice, I had a little too much of it on the Dan Le Batard Show the other day. Chase, I don't know if you saw the clip, but
I saw it. I saw it.
I've been waiting for you to weigh in on it because
Can't wait to hear about
it appears that a lot of people have been weighing in on what I said and what I revealed about my household. So we're going to talk about all of that, but first let's get to it. Here's what I'm hearing around the league. I love when a team approaches the next opponent with every single piece of intel that they could put out there to make them think that they're doing something that they may not be doing. And I'm talking about the Green Bay Packers. Matt LaFleur has been just leaning in to all the mind games. You saw it last week, right, against the Colts. He was telling everybody Jordan Love's going to be fine. He looks great. It was getting leaked out almost up to kick. I feel like I was hearing stories about perhaps Jordan Love was going to play. But of course, I can tell you firmly, we knew that Jordan Love was never going to get out there. And so here we are now. Malik Willis did a really good job. They get the win, and they're going to be facing the Tennessee Titans, obviously the team that traded Malik Willis to the Green Bay Packers. So he has potential to play against his former team here. But Jordan Love is back out on the practice field. I was told that last week, Chase, he was throwing the ball, he was moving around. He did look good, and the recovery has been really strong for him. And now that he's back out of the field going through individuals, he was in pads. And it was explained to me that the most important part of this process is not so much what he's doing with the leg, which is in a brace, but how his body's feeling the next day after practice, the recovery. That's where the focus is, right? So here we are. The Packers may have to make a really hard decision here. Do you play your starting quarterback who you just paid a boatload of money to in week three against the Tennessee Titans, or do you say, let's play this safe? What do you think the Packers should do?
It's not a hard decision at all, Diana. Sit him. Why are we trying to rush the franchise quarterback back? That makes no sense to me. He's hurt. He was lying there on the field in Brazil like it was really serious. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, he's like, oh, I can play. I think this is sort of honestly ridiculous. Like, you're talking about the guy who's going to lead your franchise for the next 10 years, what does the next game against the Titans mean to you? Let Malik Willis have the Malik Willis revenge game. Like one of the nicest dudes in football. And so it's odd to me that Jordan Love is even remotely gonna play. Like there's a remote possibility that he's gonna play, but why? Like what are you hearing about why they feel the need to rush him back?
Chase, you of all people know what's happening here. This is a head coach and Matt LaFleur wanting his player to play. I see this all the time. Coaches want their guys out there, and he would much rather an offense with a quarterback not at 100% than the other option, which is Malik Willis. And now the Titans, their run defense is a lot better than the Colts defense. So it's not going to be as easy as a feat. At least Jordan gives you the option of, okay, well, he can throw on us if he can sit in the pocket there and we can protect him.
And then what happens if he doesn't get protected, Dianna? What happens if he can't protect himself, if he can't get out of the pocket when he's wearing that big old clunky knee brace on his right? That's a lot of people don't understand. Sometimes as a coach, you have to protect the player from himself. That means unless he's 100% healthy or 90% healthy, you don't put him back there for risk of injury. So that's what I'm worried about. And a lot of people don't understand, Dianna. For a quarterback that's hurt, you spend so much time in the training room recovering, getting treatment. It completely messes up your routine. I mean, I was with it for a few years with Drew when he was banged up, Justin the year, Herbert the year he had the ribs. They're spending time in the training room rather than watching the film or rather than studying the game plan. That's just because the best ability for a quarterback is availability. Everyone tells you that, but people don't tell you what goes on behind the scenes to get ready to play an NFL game, especially coming 2 weeks off. So they're spending a lot of time on this and that and cold tub, hot tub, let's get it massaged. So they're missing valuable meeting time, and it really plays into how these quarterbacks play. So I just don't understand the rush back.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're also fighting yourself as a quarterback because you want to be there as a competitor. You don't want to let your team down. You just got paid. And look, we're talking about the Packers franchise. Brett Favre used to go out there doing whatever he needed to do.
On Toradol, pain meds.
Whatever it is he needed to do to get out there. And, you know, I'm sure there's some of that plays into it. The fact that you also just had the big payday. You are the franchise guy. You know, and it's obvious Matt LaFleur wants him to be out there, but I'm curious to see how they play this because, you know, just going back to the weekend, this all went down. Obviously, it was a Friday night game in Brazil when he strained his MCL and he had to take that 10-hour flight back to Green Bay, get the MRI, and, you know, just talking to people close to the situation that Sunday and Monday about timeline, this game against the Titans was always described to me as a long shot.
Yeah.
He is day to day. He is day to day right now. They've said he's improved. He's done really well. In fact, I had one person say better than they even expected, and that was last week.
That's what everybody says, Dianna. That's what everyone says.
The original timeline was this is a long shot. So we will
it should
see
be a
what they
6-week
decide
injury.
to do.
If you sprain an MCL, like, I don't know, Jordan's game so much is outside of the pocket as well as inside. So moving around, I don't know. And if I'm Jordan Love's agent, like, where am I at in this whole situation? Like, you got to be on the phone. You got to make sure that this is in the right decision for your player. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, he's probably going to go out there and throw for 300 yards. Like, let's be real. So,
we'll play this back with you being like, don't go out
seriously.
there. Don't do it. Get the agent on the phone.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about Justin Herbert with our reporter, Daniel Popper, in just a little. He'll give us all the info on what we can expect to see from Sunday. But the story of the week was Bryce Young's benching. And it became a story not even so much about why the Panthers did it. It was really more about what teams are doing right by their quarterback. I felt like that was the conversation that developed from Bryce Young. But that being said, the Panthers are going with Andy Dalton. Dave Canales, the head coach, revealed that they don't have any plans of trading him. I know we discussed on the last episode that I think that the player should just go to the front office and say, trade me.
He's done. He should absolutely ask for a trade. 100%.
I'm glad you bring that up because somebody sent me a message and said, why are you so sure that it's over for Bryce Young in Carolina? Why not just sit him for a few games, coach him up, work on developing, and put him back in there? And while it was a sweet thought, that's just not how it works. Chase, why? I can say it, but it sounds better coming from somebody who played. So you tell the person that messaged me why that doesn't work.
I want to talk to this person in person who messaged you, because my goodness, you want to sit a guy a couple games, you think it's going to cure the inability of the franchise, the Panthers franchise, to actually help a player. Look, this is much deeper than the player. I don't think Bryce Young, his career is done by any stretch of imagination. I actually think he can be a good player. He has not played good at all. Okay, you're not going to give up on a player in the NFL over 18 games. He's going to get another chance, whether that's a backup or a starter. But as soon as you bench the guy, 18 games in, the confidence level, boom, done. And you want to look at the franchise itself and all the dysfunction that's there, specifically with the quarterback. Like, you look at, we did a stat, Diane, I don't have it with me, but we did a deep dive on the Carolina Panthers quarterbacks when they're playing in Carolina versus going elsewhere. And those two guys were Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Both of them were awful in Carolina. The second they leave Carolina, they tend to play way better. And it's because of the situation there, and it starts at the top in this franchise, and the situation is just not great. They haven't surrounded Bryce Young with anyone. They haven't helped him out. Look, it's his deal to go onto the field and play well when called upon. But when you put in a situation like this, it's very difficult. Trade him right away. I don't think there's any coming back. It's the best interest for the player to be traded.
So for those listening on Saturday, my What I'm Hearing column drops, and one of the bigger stories that I'm spending time on is, what does a good quarterback program look like? Which teams have it? And what does that mean, right? You say program. For me, I think college, right? When you say the word program, I think SEC, Big Ten, I'm thinking of the, but there is programs in good organizations. So you point to the players like Baker Mayfield, like Sam Darnold, players that improved once they got into good programs. We even saw Baker Mayfield with the Rams have some success. Sean McVay,
Yep.
Great program, right? So speaking of Baker Mayfield, he actually weighed in on Bryce Young and the situation. Obviously, he has some familiarity because he played in Carolina as well. And he also knows what it's like to be told perhaps you're not good enough right now, and then go out and figure out a way to be great.
Quarterback's hard, especially for young guys, when you're not surrounded with the pieces that, not given the opportunity to have success. And so that's a lot of the time guys have the talent, they might have the brains, but they don't have the right opportunity, the right fit. I'm sitting here right now in a way better fit than the other places I've been. And that's not to put other teams down, but it's a matter of the pieces around you, the coaches, and for Bryce, a guy that, I can relate to this, finding that belief within yourself again, and he'll get it. His story is far, far from finished.
Wow. That's right. That's completely right. And when he talks about fit, I liken it to situation. The situation that you're in, whether it be with a good franchise or a bad franchise. What makes a good quarterback successful? It's all about the fit, the situation, and the coaching for me.
Which leads us to the perfect segment that we should dive into, because we have noticed that there has been a glow up with a lot of these quarterbacks. And we just mentioned a few of them. We just heard from the one I want to start with. And when I say glow up.
Yeah, what does glow up mean? Hold on. What does glow up mean to you? Forget about football terms. Forget about football. What does glow up mean? Like, once you weren't really cool dressed and now you're really cool dressed and you're hip? Or is it what does it mean?
It's me driving the boys to daycare in the morning compared to me in full TV hair and makeup. That is a damn glow up.
So it's all about how you look.
It's actually unrecognizable in my case, but but the glow up in football, I believe,
so we're making sure we're talking the same thing.
You just go from just being a guy to being a stud.
Love that. Let's
right?
go.
So
yeah,
let's talk about the studs. We just heard from Baker Mayfield, right? Cleveland, Carolina, Los Angeles, and he lands in Tampa Bay. And during free agency last year, I remember having conversations with Tampa, and they wanted to keep Baker. They did. But the number that Baker wanted was high for the Bucs at the time, right? And Tampa plays the good old, we're in Florida, no taxes.
No state income taxes. That's real. That's really real.
It's a great negotiation tactic. I remember talking to New England, Minnesota, teams that all had their eye on Tampa. What are they going to do? And Mike Evans played part of that, right? Because we weren't sure if Mike Evans was going to get re-signed.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? There was a little bit of a wink there. We all knew Mike Evans didn't want to leave. But Mike Evans wanted to be there with Baker. Tampa figures it out. Baker's out of the running for quarterback, and that whole quarterback carousel free agency was moving quickly, right? Because once Baker signed there, then everyone else had to shift and come up with different answers at the quarterback position. But it is the right place for Baker. Why is it working, though, Chase? What is it there that they're getting out of him that no one else was able to tap into besides perhaps McVay?
Yeah, I mean, look, he said it, Diana. He's just being himself, and that is a very confident, borderline cocky quarterback, and that's what they told him he could be. Like, don't try to be anyone but yourself. Andy Reid used to tell us when I played for him, his entire team was like, just be you. That's what they said. And when you're you don't have to be a fraud. You don't have to be someone you're not. You don't have to fit the mold. And even Baker said, I mean, I saw this quote this morning, like, hey, when Tom was there, it was a little bit uptight. It was a little bit uptight. Everyone did their job. He was great because Tom expected this. He's like, when I came in, I just tried to completely get away from that because I'm my own person. He's very confident in his own skin. Now, you got to put him in the right situation. That means, hey, they got guys around him, right? Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, pretty good receivers, okay? So that matters as well. But at the end of the day, it's so much more mental than that. And when you have success, it's something that points to his confidence, right? And when I say that, the better you play, you get confidence from experience and doing it well. And when you continue to do that well, you just build on that confidence, if that makes sense. Now, remember, last year, 2 years ago, they signed Baker for $4 million. And he was not promised the job. And for him to go out there and just be like, you know what, just let it fly, let it rip. They won a playoff game versus the Eagles. They almost beat Detroit in Detroit, which was the class of the NFC last year. And then now they're rolling. Like, I would have never thought the NFC South would be like between the Saints at 2-0 and Baker and the Bucs. Like, I never would have thought that it would be this good. But it's just about him being himself.
Yeah, and when you say himself, what I see from him, just from covering him all these years, is he actually looks like he's having fun.
Yes.
Right? Well, there were times in Cleveland, it was brutal to watch him out there.
Why did he? Because like Deshaun Watson, right? Like there's talks about him and like why did they let Baker go? Like why didn't it work out there?
In their mind, Deshaun Watson was a better quarterback for what they wanted to do there. It's almost as if Baker wore out his welcome there, and they felt that they needed to start fresh, start new, and at the time they believed that Watson was able to look like the Watson we saw in 2019. It was the old.
Gosh,
Houston,
you got to imagine they're
Watson.
second guessing that right now.
I would think that they're probably wondering as they're seeing Baker Mayfield lead this team right out of the gate on fire. Another quarterback, just you say fire right now. Derek Carr. Is doing things and reminding everyone right now that the Saints are here to play. I mean, when I tell you I was not paying attention to this team, I was paying zero attention to this team
let's be
in
real.
the
Like, I
offseason.
was a little bit because I'm doing like I'm like helping them out with the podcast, and they're like, they're cool with me because I used to play there, but no.
Wait, you have another job?
Yeah, sorry. It's like a little
Another
like Saints
podcast?
Well, it's just like I interview a couple quarterbacks that are Saints people, and they're fun. I got to talk to Archie Manning. That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Look at you. Look at you.
What?
Are you jealous?
A little. You know how to. I'm Italian. I get jealous over everything. I'm very, very territorial and very protective.
It's like
I don't
6
want you doing
episodes.
other shows.
They're already filmed.
Okay, good. They're done.
Yeah.
Derek Carr's not done. What is Clint Kubiak doing, man? Like, why is what is Clint tapping into out of Derek that is getting this offense rolling?
Well, a few things. Clint is tapping into motions, shifts. What are motions and shifts? Pre-snap alignment, moving, different personnel groupings. The number one thing that he's doing that I thought Derek Carr has done an excellent job at this year is Clint is putting Derek Carr under center 71% of the time, easily the tops in the NFL, and it might be the tops in the NFL, I think, in the last 10 years. So this under center, this play action game to Rashid Shaheed, downfield, Alvin Kamara 4 touchdowns versus the Cowboys. They went into Dallas.
I love you said that so quickly. You went 4 touchdowns. 4 to Alvin Kamara looked like Alvin Kamara of 2019. I mean,
he's a touchdown machine.
That was unbelievable. 4th most points in NFL history in their first 2 games of the season, and they don't appear to be stopping. Chase, there was I was going to text you this the other day because when you think of Derek Carr. For me, I go back to his free agency before he signed with the Saints. And I don't know if you know this, but he met with the Jets before they traded for Aaron Rodgers.
You know how I knew that? You told me. That's it.
Am I getting to a point where I'm repeating myself?
Yeah, you told me in private, not on a podcast.
Oh,
and
okay.
Now it's in the podcast.
All right. I was like, no, I'm there. I am my mother. So
I am my mother.
So the Jets front office, or at least people that are part of the Jets, including their head coach, Robert Saleh, take Derek Carr to some, I'm sure, delicious Italian restaurant in New Jersey.
You haven't told me this.
They take him, and they're wooing him, right? It's a free agency visit. We know you're going to have options. He's Derek Carr. He's a functioning, good quarterback who had some really good moments. At one point, had an MVP-type season before he was injured, right? This guy can play.
Yep.
The Jets did not know that Aaron Rodgers was going to be a done deal. So they had to explore
a little backup
plan. What if this trade can't get done? They take Derek Carr out on a date, and they're just explaining to him what a successful quarterback in New York could look like, what that does to your career when you have success in New York. He said, you have potential to be, Robert Saleh said this, you've got potential to be a future Hall of Famer.
Hey, wait. Who's that? Wait. He said what?
You have potential to be a future Hall of Fame quarterback to
Who
Derek
said that?
Carr. Robert Saleh.
I don't know about that. Robert.
The next day, okay, so I report all this. I find out this took off like nothing I've ever seen before.
You broke
in terms
the news.
Of a small little nugget. I didn't. Look, I understand that was an aggressive statement, but I get what Saleh was doing. He's like, dude, I believe in you. I believe in you. He's trying to work him, right? He's telling him everything he wants to hear.
Trying to work him.
We've all
He's
been
telling
there.
him lies. He's telling him lies.
Trying to get what he wants.
He's telling him lies.
Okay, but how about this? Robert Saleh may have been right. The joke is on us. I mean, after these 2 games, you got to wonder if Saleh and they were like, So it makes me think
impressive.
of that story.
That's a good story. I don't have anything else to say on that topic because that was a great story.
I do believe though that was a little ridiculous. But look, they got Aaron Rodgers now. Now a Jets team that has Aaron Rodgers once had a guy named Sam Darnold, right? So Sam Darnold
seeing ghosts
in Minnesota, Jets, Panthers, Niners, and now with his 4th team with Kevin O'Connell as his head coach. And when I say that, I don't say it lightly because I truly believe a lot of the success that Sam is having has to do with what Kevin O'Connell is doing and allowing his quarterback to do. So what are you seeing? You know what Kevin likes. You know how he calls his offenses.
Yeah.
Why is this working with Sam?
Kevin O'Connell is a savant at getting guys open. Like at the end of the day, I mean, did you see that 97-yard touchdown to Jefferson? I mean, that was a pretty pillow of a ball.
To Justin Jefferson, yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious, that was insane. And
I love that you say pillow because
you know
he
what
said
you know what I'm doing.
Because he said Sam Darnold dropped.
Those
let's just
pillows.
we should drop that in right here where he just feels like a little soft pillow.
Did that surprise you? Just like how good Sam Darnold's arm is?
Oh yes, very surprising. It is my first time really being around Sam and having him throw to me. So to see the balls that he throw, especially the go balls, the deep balls that he throw, it was right in the hands and it feels like a soft pillow. So
it's like soft pillows coming from the sky.
Sorry, Justin, you don't really sound like that, but you kind of do.
At the end of the day, I think that One, the coaching is elite. Like, I'm watching what they're doing on offense right now, and it's on another level in terms of play call, personnel groupings, motion shifts. That's what we call blitzing the defense. They're not letting the defense set their feet, and so they're keeping them off balance a little bit. Let's be real. When you have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison right there, like, he's getting stuff open down the field. Although in the game versus the 49ers, both those guys were out, and he still balled. So it matters when you have an offensive head coach that sits in the quarterback room and knows exactly what you want out of it, and that's what Sam Darnold is.
Yeah, and when we interviewed Kevin O'Connell on Scoop City over the summer about his belief in Sam Darnold, I mean, you felt it, you heard it. He was giving really good examples about what he could do, and they don't really seem very shocked the way we are, all like, wait, what? And the reality is, Chase, having conversations with coaches over the years, whenever I would talk about Sam Darnold, they would always tell me how good he was. And
There's
always
a cult
struggled.
Following out there.
There is a cult following.
No,
but
it's
even
real.
coaches outside of that cult, because I know those coaches, I know that circle of, I know that gang. There's another gang of, they're not all in on the Darnold thing, but they will highlight and at least give him credit that there is talent and ability there. So now that we're seeing him in a program that works, it makes a lot of sense. Meanwhile, you have J.J. McCarthy, right? So he's rehabbing.
Yeah,
he's going through the process. They have a really strict program for J.J. McCarthy as he's recovering as well. He is in on all the meetings. He is using virtual reality. Even for Kevin O'Connell, he's making sure in his schedule he's having at least an hour a week of just one-on-one time with J.J.
Does it happen all at once, or is it different?
It's
different times?
Every week. Every week they're meeting for
That's
1
actually
hour.
A really awesome nugget for a head coach that's busy to make room for someone who's on IR. That's really cool.
Yeah, a head coach has 2 assistants, so he's got both of them working hard and make sure that he's got an hour with J.J. McCarthy.
Kevin,
he's a busy guy, that Kevin O'Connell
2
guy.
assistants, Kevin? Come on, bro.
He's busy.
Talk about a glow up.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, Kevin, you're getting a little too fancy for us, my friend.
Come on.
Kyler Murray. All right.
Oh.
So when we say glow up with Kyler Murray, I actually think more healthy glow up than anything, because that's what it appears to me right now. They lost week 1 to the Bills, but they win against the Rams. They've got the Lions coming up. In week 2, Kyler became the second player in NFL history with 250 passing yards, 50 rushing yards, and a perfect passer rating in a game.
Dang.
In a game. Just,
Yeah.
who is this person?
His jersey's in the Hall of Fame for that game, by the way. Did you know that?
I did.
Hall of Fame asked for the jersey. I mean, that just tells you how he's playing. So, look, I usually don't break down Arizona Cardinals film. Just going to let you know, because we don't really talk about them a lot. I had to dive into this film, and I'm not kidding you. The first 27 plays of the game on offense, there was about 7 or 8 highlight reel throws that are not open that Kyler Murray made that made me stand up and go, wow. Like, literally, I stand up and I could not believe some of the throws he's making. He's healthy. Another nugget, and it's really cool. Old kicker, Jay Feely. Okay, he's on CBS. He calls games. He's an Arizona resident. I think he used to play for the Cardinals. He told me, and this is pretty cool, that Jonathan Gannon, the head coach for the Arizona Cardinals, and Kyler Murray really worked hard on their relationship this summer. And it was all Jonathan Gannon wanting to get to know Kyler, wanting to get his feedback. And Kyler has really fully bought in to what Jonathan Gannon and Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator, really want. I thought that was a fascinating story, because sometimes Kyler gets a bad rap in the media for maybe, everyone knows like Call of Duty thing and like, oh, he's playing Call of Duty later. Like, all that stuff is not being maybe a good teammate. I've heard the complete opposite of what Kyler is. It seems like he's fully bought in and he's balling right now.
I was in Indy at the Combine, and I was going up the escalator, and John Gannon was going down. So I got to the top of the floor. I went right back down because I wanted to talk to him to ask him about Kyler because of that, right? Because of that.
Sources.
Oh, you should see me at the Combine. You should come with me.
Are you at
this
St.
year.
Elmo's? Are you at St. Elmo's just all the time?
I'm everywhere. There's like 50 of me. You would hate me at the combine. My friends
Yeah, I ain't
that
coming
are
with
like
you
my
then.
friends immediate, they don't talk to me at the combine.
Why would I want to go with you then?
Because I want you to observe an
crazy
animal in
you
the
are?
wild.
Yeah.
Like just be like there's something wrong with you. But anyway, so I caught up with Jonathan and that was my first question of what are you doing to connect with Kyler? Because I had heard things in the past that with Cliff Kingsbury and some other coaches that it just wasn't great. Not saying they didn't like one another. It's just they weren't on the same page. And I got to tell you, Gannon was talking my ear off that I saw my girlfriend Cynthia Freeland walking by and I was trying to give her like the nod, like, save me. Not because I didn't want to talk to coach anymore, but it was just,
Oh, wow.
he
you
was
said that
so
to a head coach? Like, dude, it's a head coach
pumped
giving you information. What are you doing? Who's more
I was-
important than the
it was
32
like day
head
4
coaches?
of the combine.
Dianna,
It's a
Don't do that again.
compliment. It's a compliment to Kyler Murray and what
Don't
Jonathan
do it
Gannon's
again.
doing.
Don't.
'Cause
Jonathan Gannon's going to listen to this
it's working.
podcast, and he's going to have his feelings hurt.
I will send him the clip and say I apologize for trying to get out of that combo. But look, it's all
Yeah.
good things. And
Great
look, we're
stories.
talking about the combine in February, and here we are in September,
It's balling.
and everything he told me about Kyler is what we've been seeing on the field. So hopefully this continues for them. Still to come here on the show, Daniel Popper joins the show to talk about the latest with Justin Herbert as well as life on the road with Jim Harbaugh. We'll explain. Back here on Scoop City, all eyes on Justin Herbert right now as he popped up on the injury report. Our Athletics Charger reporter, Daniel Popper, joins the show. Popper, great reporter. You do a fabulous job. You
You are
also
a great
have.
reporter.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Well, Chase can say this because you actually covered
Yeah,
Chase when he was
covered
with the
me.
Chargers a few years ago.
I like it.
I have a lot of questions for you, but I really need to figure something out about you. You're really into house music.
Oh yeah.
And I checked out
Oh.
your Spotify channel, and you have some bangers. You've got some songs in there.
Oh, what?
I am.
Yes.
Creepy, Diana. My God.
So, can you just explain to me what this passion is?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went to college at like what I think was the height of house music when Avicii was becoming big and Calvin Harris. And
Yes.
so 2012, 2013, I went to Ultra and spring of 2012. I was actually there with Joey Bosa. I found that out this week. He was also a house head back in the day. We didn't cross paths.
House head.
Yeah. But yeah, so I sort of fell in love with it then, started making music in college, and then obviously got busy like trying to start a career. So I stopped really making music. But then during the pandemic, like we were all at home, had nothing to do, and a music production software company called Ableton, they did like a 90-day free trial, which was the program I'd been using in college. Because of COVID, they knew everyone was at home and they were like trying to get people back into the product. And so I downloaded it and started working on it again and just fell in love again and just really spend a lot of my free time in the off season working on it. Started sending my music out to labels and was able to link up
Really?
with a few. Yeah, I've signed like, I don't know,
Dude.
5 or 6 tracks to some smaller labels in like
Let's go.
Spain and some different like European countries and stuff. So
Who would have known
Okay,
that?
first of all, you're Scoop
That's
City's house
wild.
DJ now.
all
Confirmed.
right, can I make
Yeah,
your
let's
intro
do music.
music? I'll make you guys a track.
Dude,
Please.
I was just gonna say, I think we need to have a conversation about this because I was I can't even say it without laughing. I was inspired by like some Phil Collins song I was listening to, and I sent to our producer Michael Martinez like, "Hey, I really like Phil Collins." Meanwhile, he's like, "Are you 90?" But anyways, that's how like the Scoop
Yeah,
City
that's-
theme
that's a
song
little
came around.
crazy.
But I'm way more in the space of what you like. I think that needs.
You're
to
a
be
house
something
head, Diana?
We get to. You just learned what the word house head is. so
Exactly,
stop.
and I'm going to continue to use it.
I will also be stealing that. All
Nothing
right,
like
this is
nothing like the
awesome.
Jersey Shore for some house music in the summer. Come on now.
You just
Come
know
on
how
now.
to-
My wife's a
You
Jersey
are
girl,
gonna-
Diana. She's from
Yeah.
South Jersey. So
This is just. I love learning about people. I do, and I love learning about people who understand. So Daniel, Chase and I are very different. He doesn't speak Jersey. He doesn't understand the East Coast stuff, and
Hey, I
it's
was in
okay
Philly
though, right?
for a year.
You were, but like you think a lot of my antics and the things I do, the way I say
Yeah,
things, the
because
way
you
I
don't pump
behave.
your own gas. I can't trust anyone who doesn't pump their own gas.
I don't pump
what
my
is
own
that?
gas, but I certainly pump my own tires.
Goose? Did you just say
no.
goose? That's the first time I've heard your accent. My goodness.
I had to teach.
You were
I
on
had to,
one today.
I had to teach my wife how to pump gas when we moved to California.
Yeah, like come on.
Okay, so I've got stories for days. I can't tell you how many times I've messed it up. It is the easiest thing, and I still can't do it. And Chase, you missed my joke when I said pump my own tires. I meant
say
like
that
my tires, like my ego.
Yeah,
like
I
okay.
know exactly what you said.
And it was sometimes it's the southern thing. I get worried that you're not following.
Hey,
Popper
let's
and I are on a
Daniel
different
about
speed.
Chargers,
We're on a
Diana.
different speed level, baby.
I love it.
This is what happens. I can't have people from New Jersey.
All right, you know
come on
what?
the
I'm going to
show.
ask the first question. You know what, Diana? Just let me get this.
Let's
All right,
talk some
Daniel.
ball. All right.
Justin Herbert did not practice Wednesday, was out there on Thursday. Saw your tweet. I mean, you're the one breaking all the news out there. What in the world is going on?
Yeah, so he got rolled up on a play in the red zone in the second half against the Panthers. The play he fumbled on, I mean, it was just Justin, classic Justin. He's trying to extend the play. He's such a freak that he was able to stay up despite the fact that he had DJ Johnson, edge rusher all over him. Tried to hit a check down, and as that happened, he had a 300-pound defensive lineman hit him over the top while somebody was below, and his ankle got rolled up on. I mean, again, in classic Justin fashion, didn't miss a snap, went to the sideline, just got it taped up and came back in, and was limping a little bit after the game. So they're calling it an ankle issue. Didn't practice Wednesday, was on the field today. Didn't really participate in the stuff that we saw, like the handoff section. They were making throws to some tight ends that he wasn't participating in. But I did catch him making some throws towards the end of practice as I was walking off. So that's sort of where things stand.
How is he moving?
I mean, there was a little bit of limp when he was walking around, but he had a pretty heavy tape job on the right ankle. It was similar to sort of how the offensive linemen have their ankles taped up. But I always think that guy's going to play if he's on the practice field. Like, he's one of the toughest players I've ever covered.
Is it the same ankle as when he had the foot injury?
Yep, both on the right side. So so he's got the plantar fascia injury that has healed on the right foot, but then now it's an ankle issue on the same side. So I noted that on Twitter the other day, just because you get two injuries to the same side, obviously something to monitor.
Yeah.
Chase, I texted you freaking out about him missing the Wednesday practice. And as you've always shared with us on the show, Wednesday is the most important day for a quarterback to be out there. So, look.
Not good.
It's Chase has this grin on his face, I don't want to be negative, but this is tough. And look, Daniel, I think you portray it perfectly, or at least observe it the way it probably will play. He's going to do everything he can to get out there. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not this can hold up come game time. What has this season been like, knowing that Justin, had this unfortunate injury at the end of the summer, and it felt to me from all the way across the country that it took the wind out of their sails a bit here, because things were moving in such a good direction. What's it been like to be around the team, even despite all this, they're still 2-0?
Yeah, specifically in the context of Justin, I just think it's been a little bit uneven with the amount of time he missed in training camp. When he's been on the field, he's looked great, but you just have so many new pieces in this offense. You could start with the guy snapping him the ball and Bradley Bozeman, new player. All of these different, pass catchers between Hayden Hurst and Will Dissly. DJ Chark's obviously out. Ladd McConkey, both running backs, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. So, a lot of it is learning the new offense. I don't really think that's going to be an issue with Justin because he's so intelligent and processes information so well. But you can't fake the chemistry with your pass catchers. And I think, the only way to build that is time on task. So that, early on in the season, that's really what I'm watching. Where's the chemistry at with the tight ends, Will Dissly and Hayden Hurst? Where's the chemistry at with Ladd McConkey? Are there miscommunications happening, early on in this season? Because that's really where I'm focused on. When you miss time, it's really hard to build that chemistry with so many new pieces.
Look, you talk about new pieces. It's a national news that, and I've been pretty adamant about it. The Chargers, in my opinion, they don't have a true number one receiver. They let Mike Williams walk. They got rid of Keenan Allen. Look, Josh Palmer's great. Think he's a great player. Don't know if he's a bona fide number one. Quentin Johnson finally steps up, had 2 touchdowns last week, had 2 his entire rookie year. So he's turning in the right direction. I thought Ladd McConkey could really step in and be their number one, even on draft night, just looking at the receivers they had. DJ Shark's not out. How does that sit with Justin? And what was the the thinking of not really truly having a true number one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with how they want to play. You bring in Greg Roman, you have Jim Harbaugh. What they've been saying since February is that they want to run the football. And they want to take some – yeah. I mean, it's like no one should be surprised by how they're playing because Jim Harbaugh, said it in February at his intro press conference. Andy Bischoff during the spring said they want it to be an O-line-centric building. After the Chargers drafted Joe Alt, Jim Harbaugh said that he views offensive linemen as weapons. I mean, this has been – in February, Greg Roman said they want to have a strong physical persona. So all along it's been, hey, we want to run the football. And so, like, if you want to run the football, you're going to invest your premium resources in being able to run the football. Yeah, and he's been exceptional. And you see the physicality building. Now, Justin Herbert does want to throw the ball, though. And you still have one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league back there. So what are you losing by not having a premium receiver out there? I think you're sort of seeing it early on. Like, I looked at the stats. This was crazy to me. Justin has thrown for 274 yards through the first 2 weeks. Fewest through week 2 in his career. And that includes his rookie season when he did not play in week 1 because he threw for 310 the next week when he started against the Chiefs in that home game. So they're leaning into a persona and a personality here on offense where they want to run the ball. They're achieving it so far. But is the best way to win football games this way and not really maximizing what you have in that right arm with Justin Herbert? I don't know the answer to that question.
I just think it may not be the right time for them, with their personnel. I just think Greg Roman is doing a superb job playing with the best scout talent that they have. Like you guys just highlighted that he doesn't have anyone to throw to. But the problem is defenses are going to catch up on this, right? Everyone's going to figure this out, that Justin ain't throwing, he got no one to go to. So they spent the last week there on the East Coast, right? So they just beat Carolina. The whole team is there. Chase, you've done this before where you stay in one city
sort of brutal,
to practice.
Honestly. I don't like
what is that? What's it been like around? What's Jim Harbaugh like on the road there?
I think the guys are pretty bought into everything that Jim is doing. I mean, you start off 2-0, that helps, obviously. But I think you have a group of players that is desperate to win. And whether you have the new guys coming in that have a ton to prove, you can start with Poona Ford, right, who barely played in Buffalo last year. Bradley Bozeman had a down year in Carolina. Hayden Hurst had a down year in Carolina. But then all of the existing guys who haven't really done much in the league as far as winning. Joey Bosa hasn't really done much winning. Khalil Mack is desperate for a Super Bowl. Justin Herbert hasn't won a playoff game. Derwin James made the playoffs in 2018. They won a playoff game there. But so you have a lot of guys that are just desperate to win. And when you bring in a guy with this kind of pedigree who has won and you're winning so far, I just think they're bought into everything that he's doing and they're following him right now.
What has he done specifically, if you can give us any examples, from the time he took the job to now to completely 360, 180 turn around as many circles as you can possibly, because it looks from the outside, and I was on the inside for 2 years, right? And that was what the Chargers needed, was a huge culture change, but not only from the head coach and the players, but you would even say from ownership at times. So what has he done to transform? Because this dude wins everywhere he's been.
Yeah, it's something that I've kept my eye on because people use this buzzword culture a lot, but what does it really mean and how do you build it? Yep. And that's really what I've been watching. And I think it's just little stuff, right? Like during the spring and training camp, they would do these things called fourth quarter finishers where they'd end practice and then they'd do these workouts with Ben Herbert, their executive director of player performance, where they're flipping sleds and they're dragging people around and they're doing these wrist drills and all this different kind of stuff. Jim Harbaugh is out there for every single one of those fourth quarter finishing drills. He's partnered up with Junior Colson. He's flipping sleds. There was one day where he had media obligations while they were doing fourth quarter finishing drills, and I just had stayed on the field just to observe a little bit. He came out 30 minutes later after all the players were done and was flipping sleds on his own in cleats while all these fans are on Jim, can I get an autograph? And Jim's not even paying attention. He's by himself flipping sleds, right? And then before games, for example, he's out there in cleats with blue football gloves on, catching passes from Justin and Easton and Taylor Heineke. And it's it looks silly. You think it's corny when you watch it, but the players, they buy into it because they're this guy's in the trenches with us. He cares as much as we do. And it's even an example like that where he's out 30 minutes later doing it on his own that it builds this belief that they're this guy's in it with us. And if you can build that, then guys will go out there and play with the level of physicality that we're seeing from the team so far.
He is truly one of a kind. So you brought up a good point. So if Justin can't go, right, who is going to be the starter? Easton Stick. I know Dianna, Miss News lady over here, broke the trade of Taylor Heineke getting traded to LA, and I actually liked it. Who's starting?
Yeah, so I asked Jim on Wednesday who would be the starter if Justin can't go. He said it's Easton right now. So I think it sort of depends on what happens in practice. But today, Easton was taking those reps during the handoff drills and then throwing to tight ends. He was taking those first team reps. So I don't know, like it might be like they're trying to get Taylor Heineke up to speed. Like I did a deep dive into the Greg Roman offense and went back and talked to, guys from the Stanford years and San Francisco years. I mean, the playbook is immense, particularly when you're talking about the run game. Chase Beeler, who's the center for those Stanford teams, said they had 600 plays in the playbook. He said that Andrew Luck used to wear a wristband on the field, and they had so many plays that they couldn't fit it all in one wristband. So Chase, the center, would wear a supplemental wristband onto the field. So they could have all the plays on the field. So, like, you're talking about a big playbook, and maybe it's just about getting Taylor Heineke up to speed. We'll see. When push comes to shove, we'll see what happens. Justice on the field doesn't matter, and we'll never know. But that's what Jim said this week.
How's that trying to get info on Greg Roman? That could have been easy. I don't envy your journey there. That, as someone that's covered him forever, it's hard to find people. He keeps things very close, and he's kind of known for that.
A lot of no responses and can't talk. I think I genuinely reached out to 17 people, and I got 5 people that actually did an interview.
Oh
so.
my God.
Yeah, I believe that. Well, credit to you, because I did read that story, and if you want to check out the story, you can go to The Athletic and see Daniel's story on Greg Roman. You can also see the story that he actually just put out today on the medieval offensive line and how they're showing off their physical dominance. You just have a really great eye for watching storylines that not the casual fan, or that casual fans probably aren't seeing the way you're seeing it. So you do really just such a great job. What was it like to cover Chase when he was there? I know he wasn't the franchise guy, but when Chase is around, he's there.
Yeah. So my favorite moment was, and Chase, you'll remember this, week 2 of 2022. Justin suffers fractured rib cartilage when he falls on Mike Dana's helmet.
Chiefs.
Yep, at the Chiefs. Thursday Night Football. And 2 plays later, he takes another big shot. The next drive, you guys are down a couple scores. A 3rd and 1, he tries to scramble out to the right, and he's so hurt from this rib injury that he can't even run, and he just spikes the ball. The next play, he threw a seam ball to DeAndre Carter into double coverage.
Oh my gosh!
Like the guy, I literally don't think that Justin could breathe properly, and there he is throwing a ball like 120 miles an hour down the seam. It was like
that play was insane.
Given the circumstances, it was, I think, the craziest throw I've ever seen. Although he did hit Jalen Guyton in the Giants game while he was being
that was
also
dude.
ridiculous.
Off the back foot.
Those 2 are probably the craziest. But so the first thought in my mind is like, I gotta get someone's opinion on this. So the first thing I do is I get in the locker room. Everyone's down because they had lost 27-24. And I just walk right up to Chase and I'm like, what did you make of how Justin played after that injury? And you were like shaking your head. You couldn't even find the words. You were just shaking your head. You were in complete disbelief. And you just look up at me and you go, he's superhuman. And I was like, oh. I was like, all right.
I mean, dude, he was hurting so
That's
bad.
a quote.
I was like, we're good here. I got out of there. Bad. Yeah. But it was the craziest play I've ever seen. And then a just phenomenal reaction from Chase in 2 words that perfectly summed up like how he's a robot, basically, is like what you were getting at there. So that was
I'm glad that was a good quote for you.
That
appreciate that.
Is awesome. Well, Dianna, thank you so much for joining Scoop City.
Oh,
you got his music.
That's my music.
I'm jamming it. It's going to be part of my workout list. I needed some fresh stuff, so.
I like this one.
It. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty vibey.
It's like a club in Las Vegas, chilling by a pool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds great. I think that's what we have to do the next time we meet up. Dianna, thank you so much. We will see you again, and you are the Scoop City House DJ, so thanks.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, that'll do it for us here on Scoop City. Before we go, Chase, I know you're giving me a hard time about the interview I did on the Dan Le Batard Show.
I never gave you a hard time.
I felt you
I
through
just
the phone.
said I saw it. And then, well, so did 1.1 million people on Twitter.
Okay. I feel like it got a little out of control. All right,
Why?
so I go on.
Explain
because
yourself.
In me being me, I sometimes go a little overboard in some lanes.
Sometimes?
And in this lane, I drove a little fast. The entire city of Philadelphia hates me right now. So Dan
They hate everyone. Don't worry about it.
Dan had said to me, something about the game. And I said, it was pretty crazy that Matt Patricia was out there with Bill Belichick walking around the link. I mean, the guy got fired a few months ago, and he's got the courage to go. And so my immediate thought at the time was, I don't even like to go to Philly after the Eagles lose, and I have nothing to do with it. Nevertheless, be the defensive coordinator the year before, which brought me to, it was like maybe 2 hours prior to that interview. Kevin and I were in the kitchen, and he just wasn't talking to me. And you know how it goes in the morning. It's crazy. Everyone's screaming, yelling. You're trying to get the kids out the door. And he's like not verbalizing anything because he's so mad about the game. And I just was like,
hard.
Dude, we're not doing this. And so I shared that with Le Batard. And I was like, look, I don't want to live in a world where the mood of our household is based on whether or not the Philadelphia Eagles win or lose. Like grow up. Well.
But that's not all you said.
Well, I went on to explain that the energy in my household should go towards me breaking more stories. I'm obviously kidding a little.
Are you, though?
No.
Okay.
But
just be yourself. Don't try to be anyone you're not on this show. Don't get found out as a fraud. You are who you are, and you should be happy about it.
I am intense, as the listeners know. My husband is obviously very aware of my intensity. The man married me.
He married you.
He's also intense. But I think the only thing I wish I didn't say was essentially that I didn't care about his career. Because that's so not true.
Shake Shack is a big deal. Okay? I eat at Shake Shack all the time, and I love Shake Shack.
Oh, so do I. Oh, my gosh.
Let's be honest, though. Hold on. Let's be honest. The only thing that matters in this situation, like, I don't care what you said. Did he say anything about what you said? And what did he say?
He texted me immediately. He's
what
like,
did he say?
You're out of your mind. Like he was.
So
laughing.
he's mad at you. He's mad at you?
Oh no, Kevin.
Oh, okay,
Right.
good. As long
Kevin's
as he's
been
not
mad at me
you're
maybe
good.
like 3 times in our lives. He is the most.
Oh man, you got to keep her.
Kind, forgiving, easygoing. He's married to me, Chase. Imagine if a normal person was married to me. I wouldn't be married, right? He obviously
you're
is
not
a
all
gift.
that bad. Like, don't stop talking down on yourself.
Aw, see, Chase, you're so positive. I actually was telling a friend of mine that one of the best influences in my life right now is Chase Daniel because he's so positive. You're so optimistic, which is why I love that you're part of the show.
People.
So hopefully these 2-0 teams will keep the optimism rolling in week 3. Guys, we will see you next week, and thanks for joining Scoop City.
Bye, guys. Tag me next time.
Thanks for tuning into Scoop City. If you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. We drop our new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.